Some houses are abandoned, some are forgotten, and some refuse to be left alone.
Tonight, we travel to a quiet American town where a family bought their dream home, only to discover something inside it was still living there. Not a person, not an animal, but something that could call them by name. And once it starts, it never stops. This is the story of The House That Called Back. In the fall of 2016, a couple we'll call Mark and Elena moved into a two-story house on the edge of town. It was big, quiet, and surprisingly cheap. A wide porch, a basement, a long hallway upstairs, a backyard full of dead grass and overgrown weeds. They were starting over. A new job, a fresh beginning, a better life for their children. They had two kids, Tyler, 9 years old, bold, curious, always exploring, and Sophie, 6 years old, quiet, observant, and always listening. The realtor only mentioned one thing as they signed the papers. The previous owner passed away here. Natural causes. People die in houses all the time. So they didn't think much of it. But that first night, something happened that Mark couldn't explain. At exactly 2:13 a.m., Mark woke up. Not from a dream. Not from a sound outside. But from something inside the house. A whisper. It didn't come from the room, it came from the walls. Mark sat up. He held his breath. He listened, then clear as day. Mark, it wasn't hello. It wasn't it was his name. Mark didn't tell Elena right away. Because when something scares us, we try to explain it. Maybe it was the wind, maybe pipes, maybe the house settling. But the next night, it happened again. 2:13 a.m. This time, it didn't say his name, it said hers, Elena. Elena woke up suddenly. Did you say my name? Mark whispered back. No, I thought you said mine. That was the moment they both understood. They weren't imagining it. The house was calling them. A few days passed, and the whispers continued. Always 2:13 a.m. Always quiet, always careful, like it was testing them. Then the children began acting differently. Tyler started drawing something every day. The same picture, a tall shadow, standing in the upstairs hallway. No face, no eyes, just a shape made of darkness. Elena asked him why he kept drawing it. What is that, Tyler? Tyler didn't smile. It's in the hallway. It watches Sophie. Sophie refused to sleep alone. She dragged her blanket into her parents' room night after night. Mark asked her why, and Sophie whispered something that made his stomach tighten. It stands in the corner, and it doesn't blink. Mark knelt beside her. What stands in the corner, Sophie? Sophie leaned close and said, the man in the walls. Every house has a place that feels wrong, a place you avoid, even if you don't know why. In this house. It was the basement. The basement door sat at the end of the kitchen hallway. A simple wooden door with a cold metal knob. It didn't squeak, it didn't stick, but every time Mark walked past it, the air felt heavier. Like someone was behind it, listening. One afternoon, Elena took the kids out. Mark stayed home alone, and he decided to open it. Cold air rose up from below, rotten and sharp. The light in the basement flickered once, then stayed dim. Mark stepped down slowly. 1 stair, 2 stairs, 3. At the bottom, he froze. A chair sat against the far wall, facing the wall like someone had been sitting there, waiting. Mark raised his flashlight. Scratches covered the wall. Not random scratches. Words. Do not answer. Mark stared at it. Do not answer. Then he heard something upstairs. The basement door creaked. By itself, Mark spun around. The stairs were empty. The door was still open, but the light above it flickered like it was struggling to stay alive. Mark ran back up. After that, the whispers didn't stop. They grew closer, heavier, more certain. And then, the phone rang. A landline phone in the living room. A phone Mark never plugged in. A phone that shouldn't have power, but it rang anyway. Tyler stood behind Mark, frozen. Sophie began to cry. Don't pick it up. Please don't pick it up. Elena walked in from the kitchen. Why is it ringing? Mark reached out. Don't answer. But Elena, exhausted, curious, picked up anyway. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. Not a man, not a woman, just a voice. Trying to sound normal. Thank you for answering. The line went dead. That night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., the whisper returned. But it wasn't calling names anymore. It was asking for something. Let me in. Mark sat up and shouted into the dark. No. The house creaked, like it hurt him, like it understood. And then the whisper returned, more laid, more hungry. Let me in. The next morning, Mark walked next door. An older woman sat on the porch. Her name was Mrs. Harlan. The moment she saw him, her face changed. You bought that house? Mark nodded. Yes, we moved in last week. Mrs. Harlan stared at him like she already knew what he was going to say. There was a man who lived there before you. Mark swallowed. The one who died. She nodded. He didn't have visitors, but at night we heard him talking. Mark asked quietly. Talking to who? She leaned forward. He said the walls spoke back. Mark felt his hands go cold. She continued. When it starts calling your name, don't answer. It learns you, Mark whispered. It already knows us. Mrs. Harlan stared hard. Then you need to leave before it decides to keep you. From that day on, the house became smarter. It didn't just whisper, it copied. Mark heard Elena calling him from the kitchen. Mark, come here. He walked down. The kitchen was empty. Elena wasn't home. Later, Tyler heard Sophie laughing upstairs. Tyler. He ran up. Sophie was sitting in the living room the whole time. Then Sophie began doing something worse. She began talking to the wall. Elena found her one afternoon, pressed close to the wallpaper, whispering, Sophie, who are you talking to? Sophie turned slowly. She didn't look scared. She looked calm. Too calm. He says you're not my real mummy. Elena froze. What did you say? Sophie blinked. He says you're not my real mummy. He says you're the one who took me. Mark rushed in. Sophie, stop. Sophie smiled just a little. Then she whispered again, but it wasn't her voice anymore. It was deeper, older. Let me in. Elena backed away. Tears filled her eyes, because now it was clear. This wasn't a ghost story. This wasn't a haunting. It was an invasion. The final night came faster than they expected. At 2:13 a.m., every light in the house shut off. Complete darkness. Then the walls began to thump, hard, heavy, like something inside them was trying to break out. Mark grabbed a flashlight. Elena held Sophie tightly. Tyler stood shaking in the hallway. Then the phone rang again. Not just one phone. Every room rang, like dozens of phones buried inside the walls, and the whispers rose into screaming. Answer. 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 Mark shouted. No. And then the basement door opened, slowly, like someone turned the knob gently and pushed. Cold air rolled through the house, and from the basement, A voice rose upward, clear, calm, not whispering anymore. "I'm already in." Mark didn't wait. He grabbed Tyler's hand. Elena clutched Sophie, and they ran out the front door, barefoot, into the rain. They didn't stop until they reached the road, and when they turned back, the house looked normal, quiet, like it was watching them leave and smiling. They never went back. They left everything behind: clothes, photos, toys. For months they tried to forget that house existed, but one day, Mark got a voicemail from a number he didn't recognize. No message, no words, just breathing and soft tapping like fingers against a wall. Right before it ended, a whisper, "Mark, you didn't say goodbye." The voicemail was time-stamped, 2:13 a.m., but Mark didn't listen to it at night. He listened to it at 2:13 in the afternoon. So tell me, was the house calling him from the past? Or was it proving something worse, that it could follow him anywhere? Drop your theory in the comments, and subscribe for more mystery stories from Shadow Stories, because the darkest mysteries don't end when you leave, they end when you understand them. Answer.